Welcome back to CTV Morning Live. It is our Ask the Expert segment with Brenda Hollingsworth, personal injury lawyer. Ottawa.morning@ctv.ca is our email. You can send us a message via our Facebook page, our Twitter page, or you can always give us a call live on the air, 789-6559, extension 2803. So it's always interesting as, you know, we're talking about certain incidences where you see so many people kind of coming through your offices. A lot of the times they wouldn't be the person walking, or they may not even be the person driving or on their bike. They could actually just be sitting as a bystander, even on a bus.
Sure.
You know, like, so what happens even if they're in a bus and then the situation is, you know, brakes go on and then they hit themselves? Like, I mean, is that where you can see your business going?
Well, there definitely are cases where people are injured on the city bus in Ottawa and other municipalities across Ontario. Bus drivers have a high duty to keep passengers on the bus safe, and generally speaking, they do that. But there are some times when people are seriously injured on the bus while they're passengers on the bus, even where the bus hasn't had a collision. Mm-hmm. So certainly where the bus has had a collision, it's a motor vehicle accident, and it's treated a lot like a motor vehicle accident.
With all of the individuals that would be on the bus?
Whoever's injured, okay. Right? And so anybody who's injured would potentially have a claim, just like it was a regular car accident. That we'd have to decide, is it the bus driver's fault or the other car's fault, or what happened? And they would have accident benefits and move forward like that. But sometimes it is just a passenger on the bus. Sometimes they've just gotten onto the bus, and the bus takes off, and for whatever reason they go flying. If they go flying for a reason that is negligent, there can be compensation for that too. Now, like any case, the plaintiff, the injured person, has to prove that the driver was negligent or there was something wrong with the bus, but injuries that happen to passengers on the bus can be compensated.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's surprising to a lot of people. They think, well, it's not really a car accident because there wasn't two cars involved.
Right, but that person wasn't responsible. They might have been getting up, you know, or getting onto the bus, and without them being in their seat quite yet, there's movement.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, some situations that's appropriate, right? But you have to make sure that it's not an elderly person with a cane who obviously needs the driver to wait until she sits down, or somebody with a disability, or somebody who's holding a child. You'd be surprised at the kind of cases that come through my door like that.
Has there any been where it's just common courtesy for some situations where, unfortunately, you know, a moment later and a situation could be very different, but someone's been injured, or it's really affected their lives because of an incident like that?
Well, there's tons of, I mean, I have cases where people have had to have a total knee reconstruction, a hip replacement. I had a client who was unconscious after an accident where the bus left before she was seated. So they can be really serious consequences from these accidents.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's and people don't realize that they could potentially have a claim. So in that situation, you know, if you're able to, you want to figure out what bus route you were on, where this happened. If you can get the name of the bus driver, that's great. If you can't, every bus has a number on it, and try and record some of that if you can.
Is there a time frame? I know in our previous segments we've talked about the time limitations in terms of how long you have it to make a claim after an accident. Is there the same amount of time, or are there rulings to that as well?
Well, every personal injury case generally has a 2-year time period, unless you're a child, and then it can be longer. But there are notice periods that are shorter for some kinds of accidents. Slips and falls in particular, if you have injured yourself on a municipal property, or even if you think it might be owned by a city or a municipality in Ontario, you want to give notice ASAP. Send a fax, send a letter, get it delivered to City Hall in whichever town it is, and let them know you've had an accident. There are some cases where it needs to be within 10 days, believe it or not.
So there is a time limitation on certain things like that.
You know, and if you miss the 10 days, it's still worth calling a lawyer to see if you have a case. We are often able to get around that, but if you can avoid having to get around that, that helps you.
How much has it helped you to have social media and devices available, so that if someone has a slip and fall, they've got their cell phones, and there's the picture of what the situation looked like? I mean, has this almost helped you in certain ways, having this instant evidence for a lot of these cases?
It has, although understandably, when you're lying there with a broken leg, you're often not clicking the picture.
About that.
But it's an important reminder. If you can, it makes a huge difference to take a picture of where you've fallen, especially if you believe you've fallen because there's no salt or sand. Take a picture. The situation's not going to be the same an hour later, especially at this time of year when we've got thaws and freezes that are going to go on as the temperature goes up and down. Take a picture as close to the time of the fall as you can, or get your, whoever's with you to do it, because you want to prove what it was like.
It does help in terms of the case and having a visual.
And we often get people will say, oh, well, the ambulance said it was slippery. Well, by the time we get to the ambulance drivers, they've seen hundreds of people, right? They may not remember.
Interesting information. Of course, we do have one more segment, and so we're looking to get your questions in. You can give us a call, 789-6559, extension 2803. You can always reach us via our Facebook page or Twitter page, or send us an email, ottawa.morning@ctv.ca. We'll be back with more from Brenda Hollingsworth right after this.